Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Lynn Sharer, broker of Quaint Oak Real Estate and 2022 president of Bucks County Association of Realtors. Lynn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Okay, so for this show, what I want to talk about is I want to find out what exactly Bucks County Association of Realtors, what they do. I know there's a big class action lawsuit coming down the pike in October, and then also what is going on in Bucks County. Is there any difference from Bucks County or any other place out there as far as real estate is concerned? So as far as you were in 2022 president of the association. What do they do? What is their goal? What do they try to accomplish?
Well, our mission is to enhance the success, this and the success and profitability of our agents, and also protect property rights of our members, basically by advocating for them.
Okay.
So it's a lot of work.
Right. Now, so then if there's anything locally happening, nationally, all that kind of stuff, you guys are involved with all that just to educate and just let your members know, what the heck's going on, right?
Yeah, one of the big things that we do is keep our members informed
Right.
and educated. And we look at what's going on at Pennsylvania Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors, bring it down and kind of cull it to make it easy and quick for our agents to know what's going on so they can understand and make good decisions as they move forward in their business.
Okay. And then you were president in 2022. So what does that look like? How long is that? It's a year, or 2 years, 3 years? What's that?
Being the president is 1 year. 2022, 12 months, that's enough.
Right.
However, leading up to it, we have a leadership team. And normally you follow the what they call the chairs. So you start out you're elected as the vice president.
Okay.
And then you're elected as the president-elect. And then you move up to the president's position. And then immediate past president is also a leadership position. So you have 4 years where you're really intensely involved in association business.
Okay.
So it's fun, and then with that, you're doing the local, the state, and the national.
Right.
So we're going to national in May, which is in Washington, D.C.
Okay. And now, if I wanted to join the Realty Board, does it matter? Can I be a realtor in Philadelphia, out in Harrisburg, or whatever? Does that matter, or do I have to be in Bucks County?
No. Pennsylvania has what they call a board of choice.
Okay.
So you can choose to join any board or association, no matter where you are. And we have a lot of Montgomery County members. We have some Philadelphia members. We even have some Florida members.
Okay.
So why, I'm not sure, but we do. So it's whoever is representing and doing the best for the agent is where
Right.
they join.
Okay. And once again, it's just a one-stop shop for all information, all different kind of, if there's lawsuits, which we're going to get into next, anything, just the information, content, for the agents.
Any questions that you have. So, of course, the first thing you do if you have a question as an agent is you go to your broker. If
Right.
your broker can't answer that question or is unavailable, go to the association. They can direct you
Right.
as to where to go.
Okay. So now this class action lawsuit that is going to be heard in October, what is that about? And how could that potentially impact realtors?
Well, the class action lawsuit, which just turned class action a couple of weeks ago, is all about buyer compensation.
Okay.
Whether you call them buyer fees, buyer broker fees, or commissions.
Right.
So what the lawsuit is saying is that we set the amount of money for the commission or the fee, then that the client, the actual buyer, has no say, and that we are stifling competition.
Okay.
So none of those are actually correct.
Right.
The seller and the seller's agent negotiates now the commission or fee.
Right.
Okay. And then the seller and the listing agent also negotiates what they're paying out for the buyer broker.
Right.
All right. And that's listed in the MLS. So what happens then is the agents and the buyers know exactly how much they're going to be paying
Right.
for the commission, but it's already been negotiated once. No, it hasn't been negotiated with the buyer's agents. However, the buyers have already filled out what we call a buyer agency agreement with their buyer's agent,
Right.
stating how much fee they're going to pay. So they already know that this is happening. And they go from there. So they're aware. One of the big things with the class action lawsuit is states that we agents are saying that the buyers are not paying anything for their commission. And that was a standard practice years ago. It is no longer a standard practice.
Right.
All of the buyer's agents know, or all of the buyers know, that they are paying a commission through the seller
Okay.
as
So,
settlement.
right. So the whole crux of the matter, I guess there were sellers who were saying, why am I paying the buyer's agent? That type of thing. And that's where, if this goes through, which I just don't see how, and we'll get into that in a second, but who knows? It's going to be in the courts in October. So, who knows? But they're saying, hey, why am I paying the buyer's agent? And where the rubber meets the road, if they win, then you as a buyer's agent may have to turn around and say to the buyer, hey, I'll represent you, but you now have to give me $5,000 for me to do that. And depending on the market, it could be okay. But if you're first time home buyers, money's tough. You just don't have it. So that's a big challenge. And like you mentioned, it's actually less competition, because if you don't have the money to do it, then there's going to be less people potentially being able to buy a house, so I think it is a little twisted, but anyway, so I mean, is that how you see it, or what are your thoughts on how it's going to go, and do you think it's going to go through, and how does it actually stifle competition if it would go through?
I could see it stifling competition. First off, nobody knows
Right.
how it's going to end up or what exactly is going to happen. But if you think about it, if I have and we'll use first time home buyers as an example because they're usually strapped.
Right.
The money is really tight as a first time home buyer. And statistically speaking, the down payment or money that they have to put down on a house the first time is really small.
Right.
So if I have to say, take money from them to pay for my services, that's going to really decrease their buying power.
Right.
Okay. And of course, in this market still, and in the past market, not only are people paying mostly list price, they're still paying above list price.
Right.
And so where is that money coming from? And, the pool of money just gets tighter and tighter and tighter.
Right.
And in this market right now, today, we are still not seeing sellers assists, and sellers and listing agents are not wanting to see that.
Right.
They don't want to have to negotiate that. First off, they don't want to have to explain that to their seller.
Right.
And they don't have to. They can just go to the next person. So the person with the most money and the easiest access to cash are the ones that are going to win the bid rather than people that are tight,
Right.
People that are starting their families, first-time home buyers, that whole segment of the population. So it's tough.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, what it sounds like, if, especially first time home buyer, if you don't have a lot of money, you're just going to get, beat out, because if you have your 20, 25, 30% or a cash buyer, well, yeah, here's $5,000 to the, my agent who's representing me as a buyer. That's not a problem. But for a lot of people, it would be a problem, and it would really be limiting. And then if I'm listing my home, now there's less people looking my home potentially because, hey, I don't have the money, to be able to do that. So I just don't see ultimately, how it makes sense. The system, the way it's set up, generally the people who have the money are the sellers.
Yes. Well, and the thing is, with the way that it is now, the buyer agent's fee is incorporated into the price of the house, which
Right.
can be incorporated into the mortgage.
Right. Well, let me explain that. So if I turn around and say I have to get $280,000 for this house, I have to walk away with 280. Well, you as my realtor, as my listing agent, you're putting the house up for 300,000. So now there's enough money to pay the real estate commission, pay, transfer tax, whatever, closing costs, whatever there may be there, and I'm still walking away with a 280.
Right.
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 And then if I'm turning around paying the 300,000, I'm basically financing it because now I'm getting a loan, maybe 5% down, of that 300,000.
Right. And one of the issues with this lawsuit or class action suit, whatever you want to call it, is disclosure.
Right.
Clear understanding of what's going on. So the way that we do it now, the seller understands that they're paying a commission and they're paying out for the buyer agent.
Right.
Because of the buyer agency agreement, the buyer is understanding that they are paying a commission. It is coming out of the proceeds of the money that's being paid to the house.
Right.
So they're paying one check to the seller, title clerk, whatever, and then the seller is distributing all the funds. Okay. The buyer's the only one that brings money to the table.
Right.
Ever. The
Right.
seller has no money. They walk in and they don't need their wallets. They don't need anything.
Right.
So
They're walking away with a check, John.
they're walking away with the check. The buyer is the one that's paying for everything.
Right. Okay. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in October because that's when it's going to be heard. And I know I think the one in October is the biggest one because it's a class action, but there's other, smaller ones.
There's other ones.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really interesting. And the funny thing is, I've spoken to a couple of realtors and they haven't even heard of this. So it's, it pays to be with a realty board, right?
And I'll tell you, a lot of Bucks County agents know about this because we're talking about it
Exactly.
a lot.
Absolutely. It's good to be informed.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's jump into Bucks County. You being an expert in Bucks County.
Okay.
Put your Bucks County hat on. What's going on in Bucks County? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Do you see prices coming down, prices going up? Tell me.
Well, there's not a whole lot of change from last year.
Okay.
So, although the prices are not going up as quickly,
Right.
are they going up? Yes, they're still going up because it is still a seller's market. And we have a whole lot of pent up buyers. Okay. Bucks County is beautiful.
Right.
People want to live in Bucks County.
You live in Bucks County, right?
I live in Bucks
That's
County.
why everybody wants to be there.
There you go. Besides that, it's a pretty nice place to live.
Right.
But we are so short on listings that potentially we probably have, well, the last couple of listings that have gone on the market, within 2 days, they've had 30 showings. So that means in one day, they've already been promised an offer or more.
Right.
So we are still getting multiple offers. People are still bidding over asking. And, a month ago, I would have said they're bidding over asking, but they're not bidding as high as they used to. Not so
Right.
much. Now they're bidding over asking.
Right.
Same as they always did. It's just when I list a house, I don't automatically list it $50,000 higher than the one that just sold.
Right.
You may list it at that price or a little bit higher. So things are prices are still going up.
Okay. And the big thing is inventory, right? Because if I'm on in the desert and I'm dying of thirst, I'll pay $1,000 for a bottle of water.
Yeah.
So if you have 4, 5, 6 buyers and there's one house, the prices, it's almost impossible to come down. They may not be jumping 20%, but they can't come down. There's too many buyers, right?
Yeah. If you're a buyer in this market, You're going to be in competition, whether you like it or not. There are going to be multiple bids on every house that you want to buy. And you're going to be paying probably at least asking, if not more. However, that doesn't rule out the occasional, I got it under asking price.
Right.
Every once in a while that does happen, not normally.
Okay. And then the last question I have is, why is inventory so low? Because right now, during the spring market, historically, there would be double the amount of houses for sale. So right now there's half or maybe even less than typical years. So why aren't sellers selling?
Well, Pat, you're a mortgage guy. You know the answer to this
No,
question.
but you're the expert, so I want to know what your thoughts are. What are your sellers telling you?
Why would I sell my house when I have a 3% mortgage to go into another house to have a 6 to 7% mortgage?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And even if I'm a downsizer, which I'm getting into that range, although I'm not ready to, not even close, to sell my house, if I have a 3,000 square foot or 3,600 square foot house, and I want to go down to a smaller ranch house,
Right.
which ranch houses are ridiculous to try to buy right now because there's such a call for them. But anyway, and say it's going to be 400,000 and I have a $800,000 house at a 3% mortgage, I'm going to be paying the same amount in my mortgage
Right.
for a 4%, right? For a 400,000, versus a 6 or 700,000. It makes no sense to me.
Right.
I'm advising my clients, and unfortunately they're listening to me, to just get a lawn guy, get somebody to do their garden,
Right.
get somebody to clean their house.
It'll be cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Mhm.
They can live a lot cheaper in the big house than they can in the small house. I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so they're not selling. And it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon, because even if they want to sell, where are they going to go?
Right.
So in order for people to downsize, there has to be more inventory in their supposed price range, whatever it is, so that they can be assured that they can go from one house to another. And so, and downsizers and first-time homebuyers are usually competing for the same house. So we have two groups of
Right.
people looking for that, and one group of people looking for this. The bigger houses are selling,
Right.
not a problem. As a matter of fact, I have a listing that I'm hoping that'll come up in Central Bucks for between $650 and $750, and there's two houses on the market
Right.
in that entire school district for that amount of money, and that's a pretty big price range.
Right.
And it's usually a hot price range, and there is nothing in the market.
Yeah, it's truly amazing. Truly amazing. Yeah. So I'm just curious where it's going to end up being. What's going to happen. It's really interesting, this market.
I don't know, because the upsizers aren't selling their houses because they don't have any place to go, and the downsizers aren't selling their houses because they have no place to go. So
Right. It's a whole crunch.
here we are.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that? They want to find out more about, Quaint Oak Real Estate. They want to find out more about, the Bucks County Association of Realtors. How do they do that?
Well, I'd love them to talk about Quaint Oak Real Estate. Great company. They can email me. My email is really easy. It's lynn@lynnsharer.com. And my phone number is 215-272-0486. Give me a call.
Okay. Thanks for being on the show. And come October, we'll maybe chat again, right?
Okay.
See what happens.
This was fun.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe below. I have some great guests, some great content lined up. You don't want to miss any of the upcoming shows. Also, leave a comment. I want to know what you want me to talk about. Very important. This show is everything real estate, no limits. Hope you enjoyed the show.